Now, you guys know Citizens United was a disaster. That's the decision that allowed for unlimited spending as long as they were independent expenditures. Oh, the politicians aren't spending it. It's an independent group that cares about the issues that just happens to spend it on behalf of all these politicians that they're not coordinating with at all. So that poured in a tremendous amount of money into our politics, made bribing our politicians much easier, and basically made it legal. Now, in a lot of ways, those guys were already getting bribed. Our system was already corrupt. It just put it on steroids. And then there was a decision called McCutcheon, which made it even worse. They said, you know what? This whole independent expenditure thing is a pain in the ass. Let's just allow for unlimited spending to political committees. So they can go straight to the candidates, they can go straight to the political parties, and lift the caps. There used to be a cap of like around over $120,000. If you gave that much in political spending, they'd say, okay, you're capped now, right? They took the cap away. Just give as much as you want to the political committees. So it's the steroids on steroids. So what has happened since? Well, there's a great article in the Washington Post. They went and talked to some donors. A lot of them happen to be conservative. Of course, some of the richest people in the country are conservative and they want lower taxes, etc. And that's what they do. They bribe politicians to get exactly what they want. Now, the first guy they talked to, Andrew Sabin, he says one of his top issues is actually the environment, and he's trying to get Republicans to do right things on the environment. What else he wants, he doesn't say there. My guess would be that he wouldn't mind lower taxes, which allows him to have a lot more money, let alone deregulation, etc. But even if we were to take him at his word that he only intends to do good with this money, nonetheless, does he have a bigger voice than us? Of course he does. Now, the madness of the court here is that they say, no. It's just freedom of speech, man. But if he's got $1 billion and you got $10, his speech speaks a little louder than yours. In fact, he admits it. Andrew Sabin says, you have to realize when you start contributing to all these guys, which he now can because of McCutcheon, they give you access to meet them and talk about your issues. They know that I'm a big supporter. Well, that is exactly right. That's the whole point. You give them a ton of money and they listen to you, which means they do exactly what you told them to do. Otherwise, they won't get the money next time. They'll lose and the guy who you bribed will win. See, that's not called a democracy. That's something else. That's not you just speaking to them. That's you bribing them. Whether you intend it for good purpose or bad purpose, you're still bribing them either way, and you're pretty much admitting it here. Okay. Then they explain how many people are taking advantage of this. This is amazing. Together, 310 donors gave a combined $11.6 million more by this summer than would have been allowed before the ruling. So, before the McCutcheon ruling, there were limits. Afterwards, just 310 guys gave almost $12 million more because now there is no limit. Now, donors have exceeded, they explained to give you the scope of it, have exceeded the pre-McCutcheon limit, have given at least $50.2 million to candidates, parties, and traditional PACs. So they exceeded the old limit by about $12 million, but in total, they have given over $50 million. That's just 310 guys. How much is 310 guys in a country of 300 million people? Because of the post-McCutcheon decision, that is 0.0001% of Americans that benefited, okay? 0.0001%. We're not talking about the 1%. The people who actually control our politics through massive legalized bribes is 0.0001%. Okay. Now they go back to before McCutcheon. It was already horrible. In 2012, 646 gave the maximum of $117,000 for that election cycle. It's amazing. At the time, the maximum was $117,000, and 646 people gave that anyway, let alone what they gave in independent expenditures. Together, they donated more than $93 million directly to federal candidates and political committees. They donated billions to independent expenditure. So that $93 million is the tip of the iceberg. But look at the massive scale at which we have legalized this bribery. And how many is 646 people? That's 0.0002% of the American population. Now, it's so far only half of them have taken advantage of being able to exceed those limits. So the people who are doing bribery at the biggest scale is still now 0.00001%. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay. So when they asked Stanley Hubbard, who's a Minnesota media mogul and a conservative donor, hey, doesn't it seem like you guys have more power because of this and that you get to influence our democracy more? He says, quote, baloney. The average person can get their friends together and raise small donations that amount to big donations. Really? Well, how much did Hubbard give so far in just this election cycle? He gave $191,000. Hey, why don't you just get your friends together over at your barbecue and just grab a jar, pass it around? I'm sure you'll get to $191,000. Look at the bubble that they live in. They're like, what do you mean? You guys don't have $191,000 to give to politicians? You don't have that? Huh. What? Oh, I'm just trying to protect my freedom of speech. Now, who are these guys? Get a load of this, okay? These are the top donors. That's the guys who, have I mentioned that they're only 0.0001% of the American population? Here they are. Among them are Las Vegas casino titans and New York hedge fund managers and Silicon Valley investors and Texas oil barons. Their ranks include well-known billionaires such as George Soros, Sheldon Adelson, Charles and David Koch, but also lower-profile players such as an Arkansas poultry magnate Ronald Cameron and New York pearl purveyor Christina Lang Assail. I didn't even know what a pearl purveyor was. But it turns out there are pearl purveyors buying off our government. It's amazing, man. Now, here's my favorite. Sean McCutcheon, the guy who actually sued and got to the Supreme Court and won to lift the limits. He's a Republican activist, of course. He says, quote, I would think everybody would be for more money in politics like I am, because we're just spreading speech. I wonder if he added a evil laugh at the end of that. Spreading speech. You got $191,000 to spread your speech? You got $93 million in total from just those 646 guys in the last election cycle to spread speech? $93 million? You got $50 million in this election cycle from just 310 guys to spread your speech? No, this is legalized bribery in a just gargantuan scale. You know what the solution is. wolf-pack.com. If you don't get money out of politics, it's over. It's over. Pearl purveyors and oil barons and hedge fund managers and casino titans not are going to run our government. They do run our government. They have already bought our politicians. The system was already corrupt. Then that corruption got put on steroids. And then that Frankenstein system then got put on further steroids on McCutcheon. We have lost our democracy. You have two choices. Sit on the couch and enjoy your new masters, your new rulers who rule over you. Or get up and fight back. wolf-pack.com. Those are your two choices. I vote for fighting back while you still have any kind of vote.